Am I the a-hole for telling my mom that I wish my sister was never born? My 14M sister, 9F, is autistic and she needs to be looked after most of the time. She's not super low functioning, but she's not high functioning either. She barely speaks, and she has a bunch of sensory issues which makes her have a lot of meltdowns. Since she was born, I've had to look after her, and the older I get, the longer I am expected to look after her for. I don't have any proper friends because I never have time to hang out with them because I'm always looking after my sister. If I have plans, my parents' plans are always more important. Even if I already had plans, I am expected to look after her when my parents are busy. I was getting ready to go see my friend because we were going to celebrate his birthday. My mom came in my room and told me I'd have to look after my sister so my parents can go to a restaurant together. We got into an argument because she'd known that I'd be going out like a month in advance. We were both yelling at each other, and I said that I wish my sister was never born. She grounded me for a month and told me I was disgusting for saying that. I know it's a really crappy thing to say, and none of this is my sister's fault, but everything would have been so much better if she never existed. It'd be nice to have a cake for my birthday and not have to give her 80% of it. It'd be nice to have time to see my friends and not have to spend all of my free time looking after her. I hate her so much. She has ruined my life. My dad agreed with my mom and told me I'm a really bad person. It's been making me feel really crappy, and I don't know if I'm the a-hole or not. Am I?
Am I the a-hole for making my sister sleep in the dog bed outside overnight? So I, 21F, am currently in a leg and arm cast due to an accident, so temporarily I've moved back home with my parents and my younger sister, 18F. My parents are currently out of town, so it was just me and my sister. My sister has a tendency of leaving her keys behind or losing them, and usually we have to open up for her. She was going out for a party Friday night, and I warned her to triple check that she had her keys before she left. Surprise, surprise, she left her keys behind, so she called me at like 3 a.m. drunk and telling me to open up for her. Getting up is a mission in my condition, and I'd warned her, so I told her straight up that I wasn't coming downstairs to open for her, so she should call a friend and stay there for the night. Hung up, then put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm just still in the early stages of my recovery, so everything is quite indescribably painful, making it really hard to get up and travel up and downstairs. She screamed my name for a while, until one of the neighbors told her to shut up, so she, instead of calling a friend, decided to sleep in the old dog bed outside. I found her there in the morning and woke her up to get inside. She was incredibly mad and yelled at me for making her sleep in the dog bed. She also found a tick on her later and blames that on me too. We've been fighting back and forth over this, so here we are for some impartial voices. I feel bad that she slept outside, but also feel like that was a poor choice on her part. Am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for making an if he's not ready on time, he stays home policy against my wife's wishes? My wife, 31F, and I, 33M, have a 3-year-old boy. He currently goes to daycare during the day. I generally drop him off, and then my wife's mother will pick him up. My wife cannot drive, so she unfortunately cannot take him. I have found that if I get my son out the door by 8:45, I can get him to daycare and then be on time for work. Unfortunately, my wife tends to drag her feet with getting him fed and ready, so she has caused me to be late multiple times. I am in a field where I simply cannot be late, and therefore this situation is unacceptable. I have been late 4 times since he started going to daycare, and my wife has only gotten less consistent. Last Wednesday, I realized that if I waited for my wife to get him fully ready, I'd be late to work, so I simply walked out the door. She called me screaming angrily, but I told her that if she didn't want him to stay home, she should have had him ready on time. The next day she managed to get him out right at 8:45, but on Friday it became clear again that she was going to cause me to be late. I just walked out the door, she texted me multiple times, and when I got home at around 11 p.m., she had a lot to say about it. I don't think I'm the a-hole for my policy, seeing as I simply cannot afford to be late to work, but I wonder if there's something I'm not seeing here. Edit with answered questions. I have 2 jobs, that is why I'm gone so long. We cannot afford our current lifestyle and daycare without it. My wife doesn't have a job and she has been evaluated for anxiety disorders. She says she just gets overwhelmed. That is why he is in daycare. She has far less angry outbursts when he goes to daycare, so I'm okay with it. I don't help get him ready because I must sleep until 8:20 to get any kind of real rest. Am I the a-hole for calling the cops on my brother and ruining his wedding? My brother is having a wedding in 2.5 weeks. I was one of the groomsmen. I've known his bride for a while, and we are family friends. Before quarantine I had done a hair transplant. My hair looks great now, and my family doesn't know. However, my brother is fully shaven and decided to embrace it. The conversation last night at my apartment shifted to hair. My hair is passing my shoulders and looks decent. My brother thought I would outshine him without a haircut. I said no because I've been growing it since quarantine. He said it was either that or I can't attend the wedding. I offered to wear a hat, but he didn't want to hear it. I thought he'd cool off eventually and called it a night. The next morning he left, and as I was showering, I put on my shampoo. I noticed it smelled horrible and I rinsed it off immediately. Clumps of my hair started to fall out and I was left with thin half-bald hair. It was irritating and my scalp was red. I yelled and called my brother, and he said, "I guess you are attending the wedding, it's fine." I called the police, and he was arrested and charged with assault. Word got around in a couple days and his fiancée dumped him. My dad called me slurs and all sorts of things, saying how I ruined his life over hair. So, am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for giving my girlfriend a taste of her own medicine? So my girlfriend and I have lived together for over a year now, and she continues to do this thing that really bothers me. Basically, my girlfriend will make plans with her friends without telling me. Sometimes she might let it slip, like if I ask her, "Hey, do you want to do something this Saturday?" And she'll respond by saying, "I am going out with my coworkers on Saturday," but she never communicates when she is going out. Sometimes I might find out the day of that she won't be around because she is hanging out with friends, sometimes after she is already out. This also includes plan involving me. I will find out an hour before that I am expected to go out. I've told her how much it bothers me and talked with her several times, and she just tells me she is sorry and doesn't know why she doesn't tell me when she makes plans. Last week, I was telling her how I wanted to throw a get-together at our place for our friends. I asked her what she thought about Saturday the 18th, and she said she made plans a month ago. This annoyed me, and I asked her why she didn't tell me. She told me she forgot. On the 10th, I decided to go to my friend's birthday party. He decided the day of that he wanted a party. This is my friend, so my girlfriend doesn't communicate with him, but she did know it was his birthday, so without telling her, I decided to go. When my girlfriend got home and I wasn't there, she was irate and demanded to know where I was. I told her, and she got mad that I didn't inform her. I asked her if she can understand how I feel every time she does this to me, and she told me that what I did isn't the same as what she does. I told her it was literally the exact same thing, and it pisses me off that it took me having to do this for her to understand how much it bothers me. She packed her things and went back to her parents. She hasn't texted me yet, and it's been 2 days. Am I the a-hole for taking the money my grandparents saved for my college and agreeing with them that my half-sister isn't their grandkid? I will try to keep this short. I am 18, and when I was around 10, my mom cheated on my father and got pregnant. This resulted in my half-sister Kathy. Soon after, my parents cut my grandparents out of our life. My parents stayed together. I turned 18 3 months ago, and my grandparents reached out to me. They informed me over lunch that when Kathy was born, they made it clear they do not see her as a grandkid, that she is the product of my mom cheating on her son. They refused to make a college fund for her, and my parents cut them out due to it and due to them trying to get my dad to divorce her. My grandparents informed me that I have a college fund from them, and I decided to take it. I came home and kept it to myself. I have been reconnecting with them, and it came to a head today when my parents learned who I was hanging out with. This resulted in an argument for taking the money when they shunned Kathy. I said they were right to not consider her a grandkid, and screw you for cutting my grandparents out of my life. My granddad is getting up there in age, and now thanks to my parents I won't have long with him. They haven't talked to me since, and I am doubting myself. Edit. Since these were asked multiple times, Kathy's bio dad has partial custody. My dad never adopted her. Also, my parents made it seem like my grandparents are the ones that wanted nothing to do with me, and this was not the case. My parents confirmed that what my grandparents said was true when I confronted them.
Am I the a-hole for beating my parents to the chase and moving out in the middle of the night? I, 18F, overheard several conversations with my mom and my dad, 39F and 40M, about how they planned to kick me out shortly after my 18th birthday. The way they were talking about it seemed like they were dead serious, and the way it was brought up multiple times made it seem like they were going to do it. So, I decided that I wouldn't give them the chance to kick me out and made plans with my friend, Riley, 17F, to stay at her place until I graduated and moved into a college dorm or had an apartment of my own. Riley's parents were horrified by the thought my parents would kick me out the second I turned 18 and agreed to let me stay at their place as long as I graduated high school. Riley, her parents, and my boyfriend, Cole, 18M, came after midnight to help me take my belongings to their car and drive me to Riley's house. My parents woke up in the middle of this and asked me what the hell was going. I kinda shrugged and told them that I was moving out before they could kick me out. My parents tried to deny this and attempted to stop me from leaving, but there was nothing that they could do since I'm a legal adult now. By the way, I wasn't just going to leave in the middle of the night without any goodbye. I already put a note on the kitchen table where my mom goes first thing in the morning, explaining what happened. Right now, I'm at Riley's house in their spare bedroom, and I've gotten bombarded with calls from my parents asking me to come back and not to tell my grandparents about this. In one text, my mom called me an ungrateful bitch for leaving in the middle of the night, and that she should have kicked me out sooner. Am I the a-hole for getting upset I can't visit when my grandchild is born? I am 57F and have 2 kids. My oldest daughter is going to give birth to her second child next month. Their father and I divorced about 18 years ago. I was a super young bride and did my best to raise my kids, but my husband was 12 years older than me and was an alcoholic. Eventually, I had to go live my own life. I ended up moving to Sedona and getting into the spiritual community. We lived in New York. My daughter was 20 and my son was 17 when I left. They were both off to college. Her dad also moved away into a small apartment with his girlfriend at the same time. He does live a lot closer though. I try to visit twice a year and spend time with my kids and grandson. I'm of a lower income bracket, so I usually stay with my daughter. I was hoping to stay for the whole month next month, but my daughter told me that she strictly doesn't want me coming for the birth of her second child. She said I abandoned them and that I don't just get to show up for the good moments. She told me I can come in January if I want, but I'll need to get a hotel room. I'm a little hurt because I really try to be helpful when I visit. I clean, I cook, and I babysit so her and her husband can go out. I know I live far away, but I'm not the first mother to not live in the same state. I make sure to visit at least twice a year and save up a significant amount to do it. I did get a bit upset on the phone and told her I wish she told me she was holding resentments earlier. She told me that she didn't have a home to stay in during college break because I just disappeared, so I don't get one now. Then we hung up angrily. So, am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for being upset my parents don't consider my adopted daughter their granddaughter? I adopted my husband's niece Sarah 9 years ago when her mom unfortunately passed. While it was hard for Sarah to adapt at first, she loves us and is our daughter. She's an amazing kid and loves me and my family. I'm currently pregnant, and 2 weeks ago we found out it was a girl. When we told my parents they were excited about their first granddaughter, it bothered me, but I tried to ignore it. However, yesterday I had enough. Mom was mentioning things to pass down and I reacted stronger than I probably should have, but I was pretty mad. Sarah is their granddaughter since she was 2 years old. Luckily they didn't say it around Sarah, but I was not happy. We had a fight over it, with them claiming Sarah doesn't count, and trying to justify it by saying she's from my husband's family, not ours. But she is my daughter, which makes her their granddaughter. She calls them her grandparents, my sister is her aunt, and my nephew is her cousin. If they don't accept Sarah, then there is no way I'm wanting them around either of my daughters. My husband thinks what they said was wrong, but thinks I should let it go. He thinks it wasn't meant the way I'm taking it, but with his history he tends to be a bit of a pushover when it comes to family. I'm understanding obviously, but still. They haven't even apologized. If anything, they've doubled down. I don't want Sarah hearing any of this, and if I can't trust them to treat our girls equal, then I can't trust them with them, period. Everyone else around me thinks I'm overreacting, but I don't agree. Am I being an a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for drinking on my designated driver nights? Me and my group of close friends goes out to drink reasonably often, and we all take turns being the designated driver in a rotation of sorts. We usually just go out to a sports bar to watch the local hockey team every other week or so. The issue for me is that I'm heavily visually impaired, to the point where I can't, and never will be able to, legally drive even using bioptics or other assistive tech. Instead, on my nights, I pay for an Uber or taxi for all of us, which others have said is a completely acceptable option for them. The problem comes up with me drinking on my designated driver nights. Even though I'm not actually driving, and can't reasonably be expected to, one of my friends expressed that it's not fair that I get to drink on my nights, when everyone else holds back on their nights. In my view, it's not unfair at all. If anyone else wanted to drink on their own night, they're more than welcome to pay for an Uber the way that I do every time it's my night. They just usually choose not to. Am I the a-hole? I'm no alcoholic and am more than fine going through an event or outing without drinking or anything, but I also don't see the point in holding back when I reasonably could drink.